It was a matchup from Wembley Stadium that kept us all on the edge of our seats as Italy and Spain fought it out on the pitch. The teams were scoreless in the 30 minutes of extra time, and with 120 minutes in, a shootout followed, with Italy managing to beat Spain 4-2 on penalties to make it to the Euro 2020 final. Let's take a look into this matchup. The match was 1-1 going into extra time. Spain had a 70.1% possession with 16 shots, while Italy had a 29.9% possession with 7 shots.
And it's time to welcome in John Dykes to dig deeper on that thriller between Italy and Spain. Added time, extra time needed, penalty kicks as well. And of course, John, the winner is Italy. But, you know, it seemed like the run of play was really controlled quite a bit by Spain, which I guess is by design. How did Italy manage to get to the final?
Well, Mark, what they did is they did something we hear a lot of from coaches in football these days, particularly European coaches speaking in English. They suffered. They had to suffer an awful lot. And suffering is a virtue in the eyes of modern coaches. What they mean is the ability to really play in a game in which they are backtracking a lot of the time, on the back foot much of the time. Remember, Spain had 71% of the possession. They had 16 attempts to Italy's 7. And in the first half in particular, with Pedri calling all of the shots and playing beautifully, they had no answer, really. That much vaunted Italian midfield of Jorginho, of Verratti and Barella, they just couldn't get to grips, in particular with Dani Olmo, who was playing as a false nine, dropping in and making an extra man. As a result, they really were second best. But they took the lead, of course, because they had that quality, which arguably maybe was the difference between the two sides in front of goal in Federico Chiesa, and he is a superstar for the future. They also had the belief, playing in front of their fans at their end at Wembley when it came to the penalty shootout, that they could get home. And who better to anchor any shootout than Jorginho, rolling it in as calm as you like.
Well, we are going to spare a thought for the losers, Spain, and where they might go from here. But obviously the central figure that will continue in the drama, as they describe this, is Alvaro Morata. Hero to GOAT. Where does this stand as far as you're concerned?
You know, Mike, he stands exactly where he stood before and where he has stood for a long time. He is one of the most polarizing players you've got in the world game today. He has been signed, hired by some of the biggest clubs in European football and continues to be hired by them. Yet he is very often vilified by fans. His temperament is questioned. And we saw all of it today because I spoke about the dominance that the Spanish had, but they couldn't translate that into goals. Oyarzabal was guilty of a couple of misses. They just didn't look as if they had the cutting edge. And then it looked as if Luis Enrique would have paid the price for not playing Morata. He gets him involved belatedly, and with a lovely assist from Dani Olmo, he comfortably, confidently takes his chance. So that's the good Morata. But when it came to that penalty shootout, everybody at Wembley, everybody watching around the world, all of us in Asia, I'm sure, staying up all night, didn't have any sense whatsoever as Morata walked up to take it that he was going to be scoring. And that's the way it turned out to be. So yeah, there will be much focus on him. It would be unfair, I think, to make it all about him. I think you have to accentuate the positives for Spain. I don't think they were expected to get to this stage of the tournament. I think they grew as things went on, and they developed one or two superstars in the course of this competition, none more than young Pedri, who completed 100% of his passes in the 90 minutes and only slipped up with a couple in extra time. Remarkable.
All right, so it is Italy through to the final. We need you to stick around, John, because it'll be time to preview England and Denmark for the other spot in the final. So, Italy moving on to the Euro final for just the 4th time. Don't know their opponent yet, nor the result. Last 2 times they've made it, they have lost to Spain and France. You got to go back to 1968 when they beat Yugoslavia for their only Euro title.